Good day, folks, and welcome to the Anorak Review Show with your host, the Anorak. With last year and this year so far, I can admit I hadn't reviewed much Christmas related stuff, so I figured I'd make up for that. I could tackle something like, say, Moody Blues' final album, December, or Jethro Tull's Christmas album, though I could do those next year when they turn 20 years old. For now, though, I want to do something different that I've only done every now and then, and one I would wish to do more of. Another top 10 list, or just a top list in general. And being the time of Christmas joy, spirit, and holiday, I want to take this opportunity to rank my favourite songs themed around the holiday. In my opinion, I might add. And because it's my opinion, it's very unlikely I'll go with the really obvious, well-known, and overplayed ones. I'm looking at you, Mariah Carey, and Mariah Carey fans. Some of the ones in my list you might actually recognise. Some of them you might be hearing about for the first time, and if so, I'm glad to introduce you to something different and unfamiliar. So let's deck the channels with videos of holly, for this is my top 12 favourite Christmas songs. At number 12, Christmas by The Who. Kicking off my list is a song simply called Christmas by classic rock band The Who, from their 1969 rock opera Tommy. I'll probably dedicate an episode to reviewing that album overall in a year or two, but for now though, I wish to discuss this song in particular. I think one reason I like The Who's Christmas is that it's kind of a deconstruction of Christmas pop songs in general, which I think helps in it being a somewhat substantial part of the overall narrative of Tommy. And that does show the songwriting genius of Pete Townshend. In this, Roger Daltrey starts off singing about children waking up on Christmas morning all excited, believing in dreams, and peeping to see what parcels they got. Fairly normal and expected stuff. But Tommy, on the other hand, being the deaf, dumb, and blind boy that he is, doesn't even know or remember what day it is, or who Jesus Christ is, much to the frustration of his parents. After all, Christmas is, or is supposed to be, a celebration of the birth of Jesus, and Jesus himself is meant to be the saviour of all mankind and all. So when someone like Tommy, who had already become completely unaware and ignorant of such concepts, how could he be saved from the eternal grave, as the song puts it? Instead, he sits around silently, playing Poxy Pinball, which foreshadows the Pinball Wizard song. Most people may associate that track with Elton John, who we'll bring up later, but no thanks to the 1975 Tommy musical film adaptation, but this is the original right here. And poking his tongue at everything. Then in the middle part we hear someone, likely Pete himself, singing as either Tommy's parents or his friends, calling out to Tommy, asking if he can hear him, to which Roger, as Tommy replies with, "See me, feel me, touch me, heal me," before it returns to and ends with the same melody and lyrics as its opening. It already may not be the most Christmassy of songs, but it is a brief bit of character study under the guise of a Christmas rock song. And that's why it's on the number 12 spot in this jolly little list of mine. Number 11, Last Christmas by Wham. Yeah, how can I not talk about this one? From the very same duo that gave us Club Tropicana, Careless Whisper, and Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, this is definitely among the more well-known of modern Christmas songs from the 80s alone, even when it was kept off the Christmas number 1 spot thanks to Band Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas, which also features George Michael, being released on the exact same day, 3rd of December 1984. Although it did top charts in a few European countries and even Australia and the United States. Like The Who's Christmas song, this track also uses the holiday as a major backdrop for something more personal and intimate. And in this case, George sings with sweet serenity about a romance once believed to be true and blooming, but soon turned out to be for naught. Then a year later, on the next Christmas, he spots her and hides from her and her soul of ice. But he had already found a new real love, and he'll never be fooled again. First, I go from talking about a song from The Who's Tommy to referencing another song from Who's Next. Weird. And what irony is it that how the catchy chorus goes, "Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away." And when George Michael himself passed away back in the early hours of 25th of December 2016, due to, what else? Heart disease. Harsh in hindsight indeed, TV tropes. Harsh in hindsight. But nonetheless, George Michael had indeed left behind a good legacy of music, both solo and as a part of Wham. And this song is certainly a great example. Maybe this year or the next, give this song to someone special. Number 10, Stop the Cavalry by Jonah Louie. Funny enough, while I do like this song, part of me was tempted to not put this on the list, simply because, as it would turn out, this actually wasn't actually written to be a Christmas song in the first place at all, as Jonah himself had admitted. But the chorus line of "I wish I was at home for Christmas," the use of jingly bells that follow right after said line, and the brass band, which apparently were from the Salvation Army, seemed more than enough for people to consider this remotely Christmassy, so why would I complain about that? Nonetheless, it's more of an anti-war protest song, as Jonah sings in his rather droll delivery from the perspective of a lone soldier in World War One. At least at first, since he soon mentions having to fight almost every night down throughout these centuries, as well as a nuclear fallout zone, which seemed to make the song reflect modern war and conflict in general. Anyway, Jonah wishes he was at home, alive and well on Christmas, dancing in the arms of Mary Bradley, the girl he loves. And when he does live to tell the tale, he'll run for all presidencies and promises to stop the cavalry. And I'm sure he'll do a much better job at it than our current Prime Minister, and the ones before him. Regardless of whether you consider it a Christmas song, a protest song, or both, or what, it's still an enjoyable and meaningful track nevertheless. And with what's been going on in places like Ukraine in particular, this song still definitely feels relevant. Not just in this time of year, that's for sure. One last bit of trivia to note is that it barely managed to reach the number 3 place in the UK singles chart back in December 1980, mainly due to 2 re-released John Lennon songs since he had been tragically killed just at the time. Though speaking of John Lennon, number 9, Happy Xmas, War is Over by John Lennon, Yoko Ono and the Plastic Ono Band, and Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I couldn't exactly decide, to be honest, which of these Beatles Christmas songs made and released at opposite sides of the 70s that I really liked more than the other, so I had them share the number 9 spot. Number 9, I'm willing to bet someone out there would claim that just by simply saying number 9, I'm apparently speaking some subliminal message, because by playing the audio backwards, they'll think I'm actually saying something like, "Turn me on, dead man," or something like that. Much like with Stop the Cavalry, Happy Xmas is a protest song dealing with war and peace, this case obviously relating to the Vietnam War at the time. Also, it starts with both Yoko and John whispering a happy Christmas to their respective children from past marriages, Kyoko Chung Cox and Julian Lennon, just before the song itself starts proper. This use of children as a motif continues with the iconic and recognizable chorus sung by the Harlem Community Choir, which I think works in emphasizing the innocence that the holiday has, hoping it'll be a good Christmas without any fears, and that war is over if we want it. It should be a time of peace, joy, and goodwill towards men, which John and Yoko make quite clear. As for Wonderful Christmas Time, it's more fairly simple and straightforward. And that's fine as well, less can be more. Party's on, spirits are up, we're here tonight, simply having a wonderful Christmas time, and that's enough. In fact, Paul apparently played all the instruments himself here. Now that's independent dedication on par with Mike Oldfield, who we might also mention later. Plus, this song had been covered by many artists, such as Diana Ross, Hilary Duff, Demi Lovato, The Monkees, even Kylie Minogue and Mika did one together in a duet. Go figure. I'll also give an honourable mention to George Harrison's song Ding Dong Ding Dong, as well as Ringo Starr's 1999 Christmas album I Want to Be Santa Claus, especially how underrated and underappreciated they are as solo post-Beatles Christmas music. Number 8, Thank God It's Christmas by Queen. Yes, even Queen did their own Christmas song. After all, there could have been only one. Written by guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor, this is mostly consisting of calm and soothing synthesizers being played by both, including a drum machine and some sleigh bells by Roger himself, as well as John Deacon's own bass. While this may not have that grandiose rock style that one might think of when they usually listen to Queen, this still does have Freddie Mercury himself singing through his very soul into this. How we shared our tears, hopes and fears, and how it's been a hard, long year. Living in troubled days, having the strangest ways, but now, on this day of days, it's Christmas. As if Freddie, along with Brian's and Roger's backing vocals, is singing with absolute relief that the special day has finally come at last. This is the kind of song you should listen to while sitting down nice and comfy on an armchair or sofa after a hard, cold day of work, perhaps near something warm like a fireplace or a hot water bottle, maybe drinking some nice tea or hot chocolate or something. No doubt with friends just as tired as you. If you love Christmas and you love Queen, this is a pair made in heaven for you. Number 7, Christmas Time, Don't Let the Bells End by The Darkness. How could I ever not take an opportunity like this to talk about The Darkness? You may know them for the song I Believe in a Thing Called Love. The Darkness are essentially a living tribute and somewhat humorous callback to the classic glam rock and hair metal bands of the 70s and 80s. And how can you not help but enjoy them for that? Their somewhat suggestive yet innocent sense of humour on par with Scissor Sisters is nearly demonstrated right away with the subtitle and chorus line, Don't Let the Bells End, as well as the other chorus line, Just Let Them Ring in Peace. Don't act like you don't know what they really meant. And even funnier still, they somehow managed to get away with it, getting past the radar by slipping right under it without getting the song banned. Now that is impressive. You can never get away with something like that today. Another bit of trivia is that back in December 2003, this song came close to being the Christmas number 1, but had to settle for number 2. Well, I'll tell you this, The Darkness are anything but number 2. I mean, what was even the number one of that year anyway? It couldn't have been anything that good, could it? Oh, Michael Andrews and Gary Jules' cover of Mad World by Tears for Fears. Huh, okay. Well, anyways, while this is a still pretty fun, rocking, modern classic that's even a bit sentimental a bit, is fantastically epic, not as a Christmas song and as a rock song in general. And I wish to review an album or two by The Darkness next year if I get myself the time, place, and chance to do so.